3 unsettling encounters while working the night shift at a gas station that still puzzle may work the night shift at a small gas station off a deserted highway. My name is Jake, and I was 24. I came here after my dad lost his job, hoping to save money for college. Most nights, the routine was simple. I stocked the shelves and checked the register. The flickering neon sign outside buzzed in the quiet. I thought it was just an uneventful job, waiting for the regulars to fill up their tanks. One night, around midnight, an elderly man walked in. He shuffled slowly, looking at the shelves. I greeted him with a smile, but he didn't respond. He picked up a candy bar and stared at it. He started muttering under his breath, words I couldn't understand. It felt strange. He lingered too long, as if he was lost in thought. I felt a cold chill when he left. The door closed behind him with a soft click. I shook my head, brushing off the discomfort. It was probably just the late hour getting to me. A few nights later, I saw that man again. This time, he pushed an empty shopping cart. His eyes were distant. I felt uneasy. I heard sounds coming from the woods behind the gas station. There was muffled laughter, almost like a kid's giggle, and it made my skin crawl. I glanced toward the trees and thought I saw shadowy figures peeking through the branches. My heart raced. I squeezed the counter, convincing myself I was just tired. That man kept pushing the cart, not paying me any mind. The nights grew darker, the woods felt thicker, and the laughter echoed again. One night, I looked out the front window. The moon was high, casting eerie shapes in the dark. Then I saw him closer than before. He stood by the tree line, watching me. I hesitated, then asked, "Do you need help?" He just stared back, his expression unreadable. I turned to walk away, but that's when I felt the cold wash over me. It crept down my spine. I spun around, and that man was still there, not moving. Just as I thought I was alone, I heard someone whisper my name from behind me. Jake. The sound sent shivers through my veins. I froze, unable to turn back. Panic rose in my throat. Who was there? The laughter from the woods grew louder. I felt like I was being watched, trapped in that moment that I took a breath and tried to compose myself, but the chill didn't leave. I stood there, my heart pounding, the whisper echoing in my mind. Jake. It was so familiar yet so wrong. I fought against the urge to turn around. Finally, I mustered the courage and glanced over my shoulder. No one was there. Just the empty gas station, the flickering bulbs casting shadows on the walls. The woods felt alive, rustling, whispering. I was convinced something or someone was hidden among the trees. My mind raced through possibilities. Maybe it was just my imagination, but the unease in my gut told me otherwise. I reached for the phone to call someone, but I hesitated. What would I say? Trying to shake off the feeling, I turned back to the elderly man. He still stood at the edge of the woods, unmoving. His cart sat abandoned, just a few feet away from him. It felt eerie to see him so still. "Sir? Are you okay?" I called out, forcing my voice to stay steady. He didn't respond, just continued to gaze at me, his eyes dark and empty. Then, without any warning, he turned and walked into the woods, leaving the cart behind. I felt paralyzed. Why would he leave it? Hesitantly, I approached the cart, curiosity getting the better of me. As I drew closer, I made out a few items piled inside, an old teddy bear, a broken watch, and a dusty photo frame. I picked up the frame, brushing off the dust. Inside was a picture of a family, smiling. It felt innocent but out of place, especially here. But why did this feel so personal? A part of me thought of taking it to the police. Before I could decide, I heard a loud crack, like a branch snapping beneath someone's weight. I jumped, dropping the frame, and it shattered on the ground. My hands trembled as I crouched down to pick up the pieces. That s when I saw something glint beneath the shattered glass. It was a small, rusted key. My heart raced. The laughter from earlier echoed louder, now mixed with voices whispering unintelligible words. I stood up fast, searching for the source. The trees seemed to close in on me, then I saw it. A figure darted between the trees, just a flash of movement. I felt a jolt of fear pierce through me. I turned to bolt back inside the gas station, but my foot caught on a root, sending me to the ground. Panic surged as I scrambled to my feet, but before I could reach the door, I heard heavy footsteps approaching. They were quick, uneven, like someone was running toward me. My breath hitched. My mind screamed to get inside, to lock the door, but I was frozen in place. That s when I saw the old man again, emerging from the shadows. Only this time, he wasn't alone. I saw figures behind him, their outlines barely visible, but I knew they were there. Watching. The laughter began again, floating through the air like a taunting melody that I had to move. I turned toward the front entrance, ready to bolt inside, but the words escaped my lips. Who are you? I didn't get an answer. The shadows advanced, taking form, closing in. Then everything went dark. I jolted awake, gasping for air. My heart raced as I struggled to make sense of my surroundings. The flickering light from the gas station sign cast eerie patterns on the walls, conflicting shadows weaving a grotesque dance in the dimness. I felt disoriented, as if reality had been dipped in a nightmare. The laughter had stopped, but in its place was a heavy silence, thick like fog. I pushed myself off the ground, unsteadily rising to my feet. The cart was still there, and the photo frame lay shattered at my feet, the jagged pieces reflecting my terror. Hello? I called out, my voice cracking. Silence was my only response. I turned to face the woods, but all I could see were shadows, teasing and elusive. My mind raced through the last moments before darkness took me. Had I fainted? Or was there something more sinister at play? I glanced around the gas station, half expecting something to jump out at me. But it seemed like I was alone. Just me and the ambient hum of the neon sign. I picked up the key, clutching it tightly in my hand like a talisman. It felt wrong, but it also felt important. After a moment's hesitation, I made my way towards the back room, the one where I kept the supplies. I needed to find a light switch. But as I stepped in, the door creaked ominously behind me, sending a chill racing down my spine. I rushed to the small window, whipping the curtain aside. The woods stood there, eerily still as if waiting for something to happen. Then I heard it, a soft rustling sound near the gas pumps, like someone shuffling their feet. I pressed my forehead against the cool glass, peering out. The old man was back, his frail figure illuminated faintly by the light from the gas station. He stood next to the cart, but this time he was reaching into it, moving things around with urgency. Something deep inside me screamed to stay away. What if he wasn't just an old man? What if he was the source of all of this? But my feet moved almost on their own. I found myself creeping back outside towards him, curiosity mixed with dread. Sir, are you okay? I called again, my throat dry. This time, he slowly turned toward me, a hollow smile on his face. His eyes didn't match that grin, instead reflecting something darker, something that sent another wave of fear crashing over me. Help me, he rasped, his voice barely a whisper, each word strained and thick with something almost unrecognizable. His gaze shifted beyond me, and the jovial laughter returned, this time echoing louder through the air. Without warning, his demeanor shifted. It's not safe. He shouted suddenly, breaking the haunting quiet. They're coming for what's theirs. And just then, I felt a presence behind me, a feeling of being watched. I spun around, my heart throbbing in my chest. Eyes, lots of eyes, peering from the shadows of the woods. They weren't just watching, they were waiting. The laughter morphed into mocking jeers, and I felt the weight of their gaze. The old man grabbed my arm with cold fingers, pulling me close. "You have to leave. Use the key." Before I could comprehend what was happening, he pushed me back, creating distance between us. I stumbled, the key slipping from my grasp and landing in the dirt. My heart raced as the figures crept closer, the laughter escalating into something frantic. "Run!" he shouted just as darkness engulfed everything again. I could barely breathe as the darkness took over. Nothing but a crushing void surrounded me, suffocating and disorienting. I blinked a few times, trying to dispel the thick shadow, but it clung to me like a second skin. I could hear the old man's desperation echoing in my mind, "Run." But where? I pushed myself up off the cold floor. My limbs felt heavy, and panic swelled like a storm inside me. I fumbled for the key. It had to be around here somewhere. I felt the gravel beneath my fingertips, gritty and unforgiving, but no key. I swallowed hard. There was no time to search. That laughter from the woods seemed closer now, a cacophony of sinister glee. I instinctively crouched low, peering into the darkness, searching for any sign of movement. The thin sliver of moonlight broke through the clouds, illuminating the trees just enough for me to catch a glimpse of something shifting among the shadows. The torn remnants of the old man's cart sat near the gas pumps, abandoned. My heart raced as I recalled his urgency, his warning. I had to find the key and get out. Steeling my resolve, I stood and took a step towards the entrance. But before I could reach it, I heard a soft thud on the ground. I froze, every muscle tense. The laughter paused, giving way to an unsettling stillness. I strained my ears, trying to discern the source of the sound, then, a whisper floated through the air, chilling my blood. "Help us." It was a chorus of voices, faint yet clear. They echoed around me, rising from unseen depths. I squinted into the darkness, trying to see who or what was there. Shadows danced along the building, flitting with malicious intent that I had to move. Panic ignited my instincts. I dashed towards the door, adrenaline flooding my veins. I yanked it open and burst outside, stumbling onto the gravel. I had to find the old man and get answers. I ran to his cart, scanning it for the key, that S when I saw it. Half buried under a pile of torn rags, the key glimmered in the faint light. My pulse quickened with relief as I snatched it up. But just as I turned to flee back inside, a figure blocked my path. It was a woman, her long hair disheveled, her clothes tattered. Her eyes glistened, but not with life, more like the reflection of the moon on dark water. "Please," she said, her voice low and melodic, but tinged with desperation. "You have to listen. He is a part of this." My heart sank. I could sense the danger, a heaviness in the air surrounding her. The other voices joined in, a soft cacophony swirling around us like chilling wind. "Leave. He'll take you." The old man's warning returned to me, sharper than before. Panic gripped me again. There was no time to waste that I pushed past her, my instincts taking control. I dashed back through the doorway, slamming it shut behind me. The laughter resumed outside, taunting, even more fervent as if my fear fed them. Panting, I leaned against the door, my heart pounding. But the voices didn't relent. I could still hear them. "Help us." I gritted my teeth, glancing at the key in my hand. It held a promise of escape, but also the weight of responsibility. The shadows felt alive, pressing against the walls, conspiring in silence. "I can't just leave you," I whispered, fighting the desire to bolt for safety. Something shifted outside, and the laughter sank into a slow, ominous hum. The question loomed, was it even safe to stay? Suddenly, a loud thud rumbled through the gas station, shaking the ground beneath my feet. My breath caught. Someone or something was trying to get in. That I held the key tightly, my mind racing. Would it unlock my escape or lead me deeper into the abyss? The pounding grew louder, a relentless rhythm like a drum echoing in my ears. I pressed my back against the door, my heart racing in time with the violent thuds. What do I do? I muttered to myself, glancing around the dim room. Everything felt wrong, like the walls could swallow me whole at any moment. The whispers still danced in the air, mixed with the laughter outside. I had to choose, stay and face this unseen terror, or risk whatever lay beyond the door. The key weighed heavily in my palm. I couldn't shake the urge to see if it would turn and release me into the night. With a deep breath, I turned back toward the door, but the sudden screech of metal grating against metal made me jump. The door rattled in its frame as if something was pushing against it. No! I yelled, adrenaline coursing through me. There was no way I'd let whatever was out there in. I dashed away from the entrance, looking for a hiding spot. My eyes darted around the room and fixated on the small office in the back. I sprinted toward it, my breath coming in quick bursts. As I slipped inside, I turned to see the door buckle once more, the hinges creaking ominously. Inside the office, the dim light barely illuminated papers strewn across the desk. My fingers grazed over the clutter, searching for anything I could use. A rusted crowbar caught my eye. I grabbed it, feeling a strange sense of comfort. It wasn't much, but it was something. The pounding stopped suddenly, replaced by an eerie silence that enveloped the gas station. I felt my heart rate slow but kept the crowbar close. Was the threat gone, or was it just waiting for the perfect moment to strike? Help us! The chorus of voices whispered again, clearer now. They seemed to be calling from somewhere outside, but also from within. I strained my ears, trying to pinpoint their source. Maybe if I listened, I could understand what happened to the old man and those others. That I stepped cautiously out of the office, ready to face whatever awaited me. The gas station felt like a tomb, oppressive and stifling. I approached the door again, peeking through the cracked window. The moon hung low, casting an eerie glow over the cracked pavement, but there was no sign of the woman or any other figures. When I spotted a flicker of movement near the trees. My heart sank as I recognized the silhouette of the woman. She stood there, beckoning, her fingers curling in an invitation. "Please," she mouthed, though no sound reached me. "Is this a trap?" I whispered to myself, doubt clawing at my mind. "What do you want from me?" As if in response, the laughter returned, louder, more menacing. The shadows around her twisted and churned, something unfurling in the night. I couldn't stay here. I had to find a way out. With the key and crowbar in hand, I turned to the door. Just as I placed my hand on the handle, the woman's eyes locked onto mine with a desperate intensity. That's when I heard a scream, piercing the night. It came from the direction of the woods. That I hesitated. Whoever or whatever was out there might still need my help. But just then, a heavy thud reverberated against the door. It splintered slightly, and I knew it wouldn't hold for long. That I had to make a choice. Run out into the unknown and face whatever screams awaited me, or stay and barricade myself from the encroaching darkness? I took a deep breath and turned the knob, the key glinting in the dim light. With a flick, I swung the door wide, ready to confront whatever awaited me. Instead of an enemy, I was met with an empty lot. The air was still, every sound amplified in the silence. But then, I heard a low, shuddering breath behind me. I whipped around, crowbar raised. There she was, the woman from the woods. She stood a few feet away, her eyes wide and glassy, reflecting the moonlight. Her face was streaked with dirt, as if she had clawed her way out of something dark. "You shouldn't be here," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "They will come for you." "Who?" I asked, my voice trembling. "What do you mean?" "Everyone," she replied, her lips trembling as if fighting to contain a flood of emotion. "He's angry. You need to leave now." I didn't even know who he was. "What happened to you?" I pressed, stepping closer despite the sense of dread that twisted my stomach. "Not here," she pleaded. "Inside. You need to know." With that, she turned away, looking over her shoulder at the tree lean. I felt compelled to follow her, but the gas station loomed behind me. This place was a dead weight, yet part of me wanted to cling to it for a sense of safety. That a loud crash echoed from within the gas station. The door shuddered again, but this time the impact sounded different, like something had broken through. Panic surged through me. I glanced back at the woman, who seemed to be torn between two worlds, the woods and the terror inside. "Please!" she screamed. "You must choose." I hesitated, torn between the scream that echoed in my mind and the woman's desperate plea. "What do I do?" I shouted, my voice cracking, but she was already running toward the woods, her form fading into the shadows. Instinct kicked in. I sprinted after her, fueled by a force I couldn't explain. My heartbeat thundered in my ears, drowning out the laughter that surged back, wild and chaotic. As I entered the forest, thick trees swallowed the moonlight. The air turned oppressive, the sounds of the gas station replaced by the churning of leaves and something else, a low growl, like a beast awakened. Panic gripped me tighter than ever. Was I running toward salvation or straight into danger? Then, I spotted a clearing. My breath caught in my throat as I skidded to a stop. In the center was a makeshift altar, littered with scraps of clothing and small bones. I took a step back, horrified. "Help us!" The voices returned, brushing against my ears like wind. The unmistakable sound of footsteps crackled behind me. My head whipped around, and it felt like the darkness was gathering, eager to swallow me whole. I turned and ran, pounding my feet on the uneven ground. Whatever haunted me wasn't far behind. I broke through the tree lean, heart racing as I approached the gas station again. The door hung wide open, swaying in the breeze like a gaping maw. It was time to decide. Did I return to the terror I left behind, or trust whatever unknown awaited in the woods? That's when I noticed my reflection in the gas station window, but it wasn't just me looking back. Someone else stood behind me, lurking in the shadows. I turned slowly, heart pounding against my ribs, and came face to face with the figure in the shadows. It was a man, his features obscured by the darkness. I couldn't tell if he was smiling or scowling, but the glint of his eyes sent a chill down my spine. "Who are you?" I managed to croak, gripping the crowbar tighter. I didn't even have to ask if he was dangerous. The way he stood there, unmoving, made it clear that he was no ordinary man. "Been waiting for you," he said, his voice a low rasp that echoed unnaturally in the silence. "She shouldn't have run. Now it's too late." "Where is she?" I demanded. The woods felt more ominous now, shadows creeping closer as if to envelop me. He didn't answer. Instead, he took a step forward, his movements slow and deliberate. "You came to find her, didn't you? You think you can save her?" Every instinct screamed at me to back away. "What do you know about her?" "More than you think," he replied, his eyes narrowing. "And you know what you are, don't you?" My pulse quickened. "What are you talking about?" "You can feel it, can't you?" He continued, taking another step closer. "The fear. The power. It's why you're here." I shook my head, confusion washing over me. "I'm just trying to understand." His laugh echoed through the stillness. "Understand? You'd be better off running. They'll find you here." Suddenly, the air grew thick with a foul smell, like decay. The hairs on my arms stood on end. I glanced back toward the gas station. Its open door now seemed more like a trap than an escape. Then, from behind the man, I saw movement. Dark figures flickered in the depths of the trees, their shapes indistinct but unmistakably looming. He turned slightly to look, and in that moment, I felt my chance slip away. "Leave now," he said, gaze returning to me, which was more commanding than threatening. "They won't stop until they have you." "Have me?" I almost laughed, but the sound fizzled into a nervous chuckle. "What are you talking about?" Each night, the woods take what they want. You cannot outrun them. Fear coagulated in my throat. I had to do something, anything. I considered sprinting back towards the gas station. It felt wrong, though. The place didn't exude safety. It felt alive, as if it craved something sinister. Don't be foolish, the man warned, catching my hesitation. You have one choice. Keep running, or turn back to the darkness. As he spoke, I spotted a flash of movement at the edge of the woods. It was her, the woman. She stood just beyond the tree line, her face pale, mouth moving as if she was trying to say something. Help! I shouted, taking a step toward her before the man reached out and gripped my arm. Don't, he hissed. It's too late for her. That's when everything shifted. The night thickened, and a piercing howl rang out, echoing from the trees. I tore my gaze from the man to the source of the sound, and dread twisted in my gut. I knew I had no choice left. I had to decide. Do I turn toward the man, or follow the woman into the heart of the ever-darkening woods? I made my decision in a split second, and it felt like I was stepping off a cliff. I sprinted toward her, ignoring the man's warnings and the dark shapes lurking in the shadows. My heart raced as I ran, branches clawing at my clothes and arms, but I couldn't stop. I needed to reach her. Wait! I shouted, hoping she could hear me. She turned, and I caught a glimpse of her face. Fear twisted her features. I willed myself to run faster. Get back! She cried out, fear thick in her voice. It's not safe. I faltered for a heartbeat. What do you mean? Something about her words sent panic surging through me. They'll follow you. She yelled, voice echoing through the trees. I could hear the urgency lacing her tone, and it made my skin crawl. But then I heard it, a low growl that echoed through the darkened woods behind me. I glanced back. The man was gone, but the dark figures were closer now, their silhouettes shifting among the trees. Shadows interacted with shadows, and they moved as if they were alive. Run! She cried, voice breaking. Panic ignited my legs, and I charged toward her. I didn't want to leave her behind, but I was drawn to the urgency in her voice. Please. Just a little closer. I pushed myself, every muscle screaming in protest. As I reached her, the overwhelming smell returned, decay and something metallic. The air tasted foul. I could barely breathe. She grabbed my arm, her grip surprisingly strong. You have to trust me. We can't stay here. I glanced back into the woods, and that was when the figures stepped into the moonlight. They weren't fully formed, more like shadows given shape, with elongated limbs and gleaming eyes that reflected the pale light. Fear struck me like a wave. Who are they? I whispered, panic tightening my throat. The night doesn't want you to know. Just run. Her voice cut through my thoughts. I felt her pull me deeper into the woods. We stumbled through the trees, branches snapping underfoot, and I could feel the presence behind us growing closer. It felt as if the woods were closing in, trying to ensnare us. Where are we going? I gasped, fighting to keep pace with her. Somewhere they can't follow. She shouted back, her eyes glancing over her shoulder. As we ran, she led me to a clearing. The moon bathed the area in an eerie light, illuminating what looked like a dilapidated cabin. I wanted to slow down, to catch my breath, but I sensed it wasn't safe. Inside. She urged. I followed her into the cabin, heart pounding like a drum. The door creaked ominously as we slammed it shut behind us. The air inside was stale, and the darkness felt thicker than outside. I could barely see her face, but I sensed the fear still radiating from her. That won't hold them for long, she said, panic creeping into her voice. We have to find a way to protect ourselves. Before I could ask what she meant, the walls shuddered as if something was pounding against them. And then everything went silent. The dread crawled up my spine. "I don't think they're gone," I whispered that S when I saw it. A shadow shifting at the window, watching us. I could feel my heart stop. Whatever was out there was still hunting us. The air in the cabin felt tight, thick with tension. My instinct screamed at me to run, but where could we go? I took a step back, pressing against the door as I struggled to catch my breath. The dim light from the moon barely illuminated the space around us, and fear knotted my stomach. "What do we do?" I finally managed to ask, my voice shaky. "What are those things?" She glanced at me, eyes wide. "I don't know. They shouldn't be able to come in here, but we have to do something." The shadow at the window shifted again, a black mass that seemed ready to pounce. I peered closer, squinting into the dark. I could see the outline of something, maybe a face, but it wasn't human. The gleaming eyes blinked, then locked onto mine. I stumbled back, my breath hitching in my throat. "Don't look at it," she hissed, her voice urgent. "They feed off your fear." "What do you mean?" I barely whispered, feeling a cold sweat break out on my skin. "They are drawn to fear. If you show any, they gain strength. We need to fight it." Her hands shook, and I could tell she was just as scared as I was. I racked my brain for anything that could help us. How do we fight things we can't even see? By staying calm. She punctuated her words with a shaky inhale. "We need light or something to distract them. There might be something in here." I glanced around the cabin. It felt like a tomb, littered with forgotten memories. I was about to search the dark corners when a loud bang hit the door. The wood groaned under the pressure, and I could hear the whispers of the shadows outside, slithering against the walls like dark smoke. "Do you have a flashlight?" she asked sharply. "Anything?" I reached into my pocket, fingers fumbling. I pulled out my phone, the only source of light I had. "It's not great, but turn it on." I did, casting the beam toward the window. The shadow jerked away momentarily, but a dozen other small shadows roamed closer to the door, their eyes glowing like embers. "Keep it steady," she urged, and I nodded, unable to look away from the writhing forms. Fear gripped me tight, but I took a deep breath and steadied my hand. "What else?" "Look for anything to barricade the door," she urged. I turned and scanned the room, my heart pounding. Near the fireplace, a heavy wooden chair lay on its side. I rushed to it and dragged it back toward the door. With her help, we wedged it against the knob. A second thud echoed through the cabin, making the door shake but holding steady for now. "Those things," I gasped, desperate to complain. "They're just shadows." "How can they do this?" "They're not just shadows. They're ancient. They thrive on fear, on darkness." She paused, breathless, then added, "They want to take us." The reality of her words hit me hard. And in that moment, I heard another noise, footsteps, soft and unsteady, coming from the back of the cabin. I looked at her, eyes wide. "Someone's in here." With a jolt, we both turned. Something, or someone, was definitely moving in the darkness behind us. I took a step back and whispered, "What do we do now?" I pressed my back against the barricaded door, my heart racing as I scanned the darkness for any sign of movement. Whatever was lurking in the shadows felt wrong, more than just a mere shadow trying to join us. "We need to get out of here now," I whispered, but my voice was barely audible over the pounding of my heart. The footsteps grew louder, dragging along the wooden floor, and I couldn't tell if it was one of those dark figures or something worse. My grip on my phone tightened. "I'll shine the light, just be ready," I muttered to her, preparing myself for whatever was about to emerge from the gloom. Taking a deep breath, I directed the beam of light toward the source of the sound. The shadows twitched, mirroring the erratic pulse of fear through my veins. The darkness pooled near the back wall of the cabin, writhing. As I tightened my grip on the phone, I squinted, bracing for a confrontation. Then finally, a figure emerged, a woman, her clothes tattered and worn, her hair wild. She looked disheveled, as if she had been running. "Please," she said, her voice raw with desperation. "You have to help me." "Who are you?" I demanded, still wary. "More than you think," came a voice from the shadows, grating and hollow, as the man from earlier appeared, lurking just behind her. "She's a part of this, just like you." "No," the woman cried, shaking her head. "I'm not like them. I was taken, just like you will be. You have to listen." Her eyes darted to the window, panic etched on her face. "Stay back," I shouted, positioning the phone light between us and the doorway. The shadows outside thickened, drawn closer by our fear. "We're not letting anyone in. They can't come inside. They feed off fear, remember?" The first woman reminded me, the urgency rising in her voice. "But we need to leave before they find a way. You have to trust us." I glanced at her, weighing my options, but the reality of the situation felt suffocating. I was stuck between fear and logic. "You're all just shadows," I said, trying to convince myself. "What can you do? It's not about that. You need to escape this place," the man's voice hissed, disrupting the tense silence. "They're relentless. They won't stop until they have what they're after." "What are you talking about?" I shot back. "What do you want from me?" "Listen to her," he replied, his tone softening. "You're marked. The night is hungry, and you've been invited to dinner." That's when I felt a rush of cold air that swept through the cabin, chilling me to the bone. "Get ready," I yelled, instinctively flashing the light toward the doorway as a dark shape pressed against it. My heart thudded wildly, echoing the chaos outside. "We should push the table against the door again," the woman shouted as shadows swirled in the entrance, growing, twisting. "No. We need to find a way out," I yelled, glancing back toward the back window where the darkness stirred, but when the old woman's panic turned to resolve, her face hardened. "We have to fight. You have to face what we've been running from," she insisted. "It will only get worse the longer we stay." "Face what?" I almost screamed, my voice cracking under the weight of dread. "There," she pointed, motioning toward what I had thought was just debris. A battered board lay against the far wall, an old and rusty axe nearby. It might have once been a tool for chopping wood, but it now felt like salvation. "Help me." We both dashed toward it, my pulse pounding in my ears as the shadows swelled around us, dark fingers stretching from the walls that I snatched the axe, the weight comforting in my hands amidst the overwhelming dread. I turned to the others. "What now?" "Hold it up. Stand your ground," the woman instructed, stepping closer. "They will try to feed on your fear. Do not let them." We took a defensive stance, the darkness closing in. The air grew heavy and charged as the shadows crawled closer still. And then they struck, a wave of darkness swarming toward us, pressing like a fog upon the air. I gripped the axe tighter, every instinct screaming as fear clawed at me from every angle. I had no idea if I was striking at the shadows or at something that transcended understanding, a nightmarish entity rooted in myth. Just before they enveloped us, I swung the axe wildly, not knowing what I might hit anything would do. A harsh scream shattered the air, and I was thrown back, falling hard onto the ground. When I finally opened my eyes, the cabin felt eerily quiet. The light from my phone flickered, and the darkness was still. The three of us were still alive, but we were huddled together. "I think we scared them off," the woman whispered, but I felt the unease well up in my chest. Had we really escaped? We shared a glance, and the man shook his head. "They'll be back. They never leave for long." "What do we do now?" I asked, breathless and trembling. "Leave. We have to leave this place," she urged. "But how?" I felt the weight of my surroundings, the looming pressure of the unseen. Questions tugged at the edges of my mind. What were those figures? What did they truly want? Before I could voice any doubts, another wind howled through the open window, and the shadows returned, swirling into the cabin. Even though we were still inside, I felt the chill wrap around me, an acknowledgement of the unending hunt. Run! And in that moment, I realized I didn't know who I could trust. The woods outside loomed dark and unwelcoming, but with the weight of the night upon us, the only choice left was to confront what lay ahead, whether human or shadow, with every ounce of courage I had. Whatever waited out there remained a mystery, but we had to face it or die trying. As we stepped toward the door, I could still hear the laughter from the woods. Would I ever understand the truth of those encounters? No, but I wasn't about to stand idle and wait for answers anymore.